Welcome back. Thank you for joining us this morning. We have DEA Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Diana Apodaca. Now, the DEA was recently part of a big operation that proved to be a big blow against the Sinaloa cartel. Can you tell us a little bit about that this morning?
Yes, thank you for having me. This operation was conducted nationally with DEA against the Sinaloa cartel, targeting members at every level. Nationally, there were hundreds of arrests made. There were hundreds of seizures of drugs made. Locally here in the border region, in the DEA El Paso division, we arrested over 20 members of the cartel, 20 people that were involved in drug trafficking activities. We seized approximately 300 kilograms of drugs that included fentanyl, methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin, to name some of them. We also seized about 9,000 counterfeit pills, and there were seizures of money, assets, as well as firearms seized that were involved in drug trafficking.
It's a huge operation then, especially for our area too, right?
Yes, definitely. And let me just say that for us, these type of operations, they just, when you can arrest members of drug trafficking organizations and you can take drugs off the streets that are going to be ultimately pushed onto our community members, for us it translates into lives saved and our communities defended.
And with this operation, we know recently, especially with the Trump administration formally addressing the Sinaloa cartel as a transnational terrorist foreign organization, from your perspective and the work that the DEA does, how does this change your work? Does it make it easier? Does it help in any way when you guys are investigating these cases, when you guys are trying to push these cases forward and trying to make those arrests and continue on with your investigation? And maybe even, do you guys get more resources because of that as well?
Well, what it does is assist us with more tools in the toolbox. So for U.S. law enforcement, it provided us additional resources, additional tools in when arresting and seeing the prosecutions of these individuals through. It provided additional tools when it comes to seizing assets and money that is derived from drug trafficking. And finally, it assisted with material support charges for anybody that assists the cartel in what they do.
When we're talking about this huge operation, and something we always talk about is fentanyl, and how fentanyl is one of the really huge drivers for overdose deaths in the U.S. But when it comes to fentanyl, specifically with the Sinaloa cartel, what correlation or what trends did you guys notice as you guys were doing this operation, and maybe time back what exactly is being done here and how much fentanyl you guys were able to stop from getting into the streets here?
Well, like any cartel, any criminal, they're always evolving. They're always trying to find new ways to avoid detection and to avoid being caught and discovered. And what we do is continue to train, continue to teach our agents, continue to work with other members of law enforcement in order to target in our cases. I would like to mention that for the first time since 2018, according to the CDC provisional numbers, overdose deaths are down 21%. So between the work we're doing in making our arrests, and we have a program for bringing awareness to the community between our PIO and our community outreach coordinator, who are always out there bringing awareness. We hope that that is helping with the impact, along with our partners who are doing it as well, in order to just bring awareness. And as I mentioned, we just in this operation alone here in the El Paso division, we seized about 9,000 counterfeit pills. And throughout the whole U.S., there were about 700,000 seized.
That's a big amount, especially for our area. And when you mentioned it a little bit, when we're talking about the collaboration, especially across different agencies, when we're talking about international partners, when we're talking about local law enforcement partners here locally in our area in El Paso, what type of work did that take in order for you guys to be able to get the success of being able to arrest the people that were bringing in that fentanyl? really seize that fentanyl and really make the operation as big as you guys were able to make it here?
Well, one thing here on the borderland, nationally, internationally, DEA values our partnerships. And we really, most of our investigations are done jointly with our federal, state, and local partners. And internationally, we work with our partners as well. As a single agency holding intelligence, having the tools that we have to investigate our cases, it does us no good to hold it and just not share it. And there are a lot of places in the U.S. where agencies work together, but here on the borderland, it's always better, something different, just like our community. People that come visit El Paso talk about how welcoming we are and how the community is at receiving people and treating people like they're one of our own. Well, law enforcement's no different. We work together. I'm sure in other cases, other investigations, you've seen we have press conferences, everybody's there because everybody participated. And this operation was no different. Nationally, we couldn't have done it without our partners that were either already in the investigations working them with us side by side or assisted us that day or that week in order to make this surge successful.
That's great. And one of the things, kind of going back to one of the key spots that always makes a big appearance is the fentanyl. You talked about how much hard work has been going in with your guys's, not only like the DEA, but public information and communications and community outreach. With that community outreach, we know, I mean, a lot of lives have been touched on the negative and the positive side of trying to get someone away from fentanyl. But for some of those families who are maybe still experiencing fentanyl in their own life as a family member, you know, what's a message that you think would be important to share with those families about what the DEA is trying to do to prevent fentanyl from continuing to come into our country and get on the streets ultimately?
Well, the first thing I would say is to reach out to DEA, to your local law enforcement, but to reach out and to get our public information officer and our community outreach coordinator are constantly setting up briefings. They're setting up information seminars. They're out at our national night outs. They're setting up these briefings on bringing awareness for not only using and getting those drugs pushed on you, but also for becoming recruited into the cartel, into working for them. And they're constantly setting up these trainings. They do it for parents. They do the trainings for members, business members. They do it for anybody in the community and students and kids in schools. They're constantly out there trying to get the message out. And through those briefings, they can provide resources, things to look for, and guidance to people who are overwhelmed, or you don't know, you want to be ahead of the game, so you want to know what to look for, because the key is stopping it as soon as it starts, or before, honestly. If you can stop it before it starts, even better. For people in the community that know there's drug trafficking, we get a lot of leads and a lot of tips coming straight from the community, because we don't want this in our community. And so they call us and they give us the leads either anonymously or by identifying themselves, but reaching out to us and giving us the information. There are eyes and ears in the community.
And keeping that forward, I think one of the last things that I really wanted to touch on, this big operation with the Sinaloa drug cartel, well, it's wrapped up, but how are you guys continuing this work on your own in the borderland to just make sure that you guys are continuing to pursue not only the transnational crime organizations, but also the stop and seizure of fentanyl in our area?
So we've always been committed, and we're still committed. And we did a coordinated national operation, but daily we're working these operations. And so daily we're working, we're committed, and we will continue. We'll continue to work. DEA will continue their investigations. Our partners will continue theirs, and we'll be there for each other to do that. And we also need not just our law enforcement partners, but we need our community to continue to partner with us.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning and talking about this huge operation and really the big impact that it had in our area. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much. Remember, if you missed this community conversations. We will have it posted on our website, kfoxtv.com. All you got to do is click on this story. But for now, let's go ahead and send things over to forecaster Hannah Fresquez.